Hello Fantasy Managers, my name's Tom and I'm back talking about F1 Fantasy. Template. That's what everyone's been talking about all week, including myself. Where am I going this weekend? Can you guess? Template. Yes, so in this video I'll be talking about my final thoughts ahead of the BAHRAIN Grand Prix. Like I said, I feel like there is some stuff to talk about. I will try and keep it as short and sweet as I can, and try and be as succinct as possible. But I think we know where I'm heading this week. So yeah, if you are new around here, please do subscribe. I talk about F1 Fantasy every damn race. So let's get on with it for this BAHRAIN Grand Prix. We've got FP2 results on screen. I haven't bothered with putting FP1 up because we didn't really learn anything. A bunch of rookies were driving. It was extraordinarily hot. It's not representative of qualifying and race conditions. So just park that. Look at FP2. And these obviously like the headline times that were made on the soft tyre. But it kind of tells the whole story, to be honest, even without looking at the long runs. The McLarens are clearly ahead of everyone. Like they're half a second ahead of everyone here on the soft tyre. And looking at the longer runs as well, although at the time of recording this, F1 haven't actually published their own simulations as yet. I guarantee they're going to publish it as soon as I stop recording. It'll be very annoying, but there we go. Haven't got that to fiddle about with at the moment, but I've seen some long run data from various sources on Twitter, and it's all pointing at McLaren just running away with it, basically. If they don't 1-2 it, then something's gone terribly wrong. Behind the McLarens, it looks pretty tight, I would say, with Verstappen, Mercedes, and I think Ferrari had a bit of a rough Friday, but I think they're probably going to be closer than we expect come qualifying and race. But there's lots of talk from Lewis and Charles Leclerc both saying that the upgrade, their floor upgrade, is working kind of exactly as expected, which is obviously great news for Ferrari fans. And it might just take some fine tuning overnight and some more adjustments in FP3 to really get it going, I suppose. But not enough for me to be interested in them from a F1 fantasy sense. Let's hop over to the team as it is at the moment. This is obviously my team coming out of Japan. And I've got 3 free transfers, which is quite a luxury because all I can see everywhere is people talking about -10s and -20s, etc., which is obviously good for me because it's about the only differential I'm going to have this week is the fact that I'm not going to be taking any hits. But like I say, template is the word that everyone's talking about at the moment. It's the most used word. It needs to be muted on my Twitter, I think. But yeah, this is the template that we're all talking about. This is almost certainly right now kind of where I'm going. It'll take something weird to happen overnight / weird happenings in FP3 to change my mind. But to be honest, FP3 is probably not going to change my mind that much. It's relevant and we need to pay attention to it. But FP2 is going to be the most relevant for us, I think, because of the time of day that it occurred and the difference in temperature and that sort of thing. So yes, so let's before I get any further talking about my team, because to be honest, I don't think there's this is it. This is the team. I mean, this is it. So, and the reason why this is it for a couple of reasons, because first of all, because of this pricing algorithm, I'm not going to go and talk about it all night. But the bottom line is it's clear, okay? We're being dictated in a way by the developers' choices this season. They have chosen this algorithm. Whether you agree with it or not, I think there are some aspects to it which I like, but overall, the way it's shaping up at the moment is that we are just being shepherded down a very linear path. Last season it was a lot more about performance. We were picking these picks based on performance, who we thought might, get a few extra points. So, for example, Albon looks like a good pick because he looks like he's going to do well again. But look what's going to happen to his budget. He's near enough guaranteed, unless he has an exceptional race weekend. He's near enough guaranteed to lose budget. And budget, particularly at the early part of the season, is very important. Very important. You don't want to get left behind a budget. So we just kind of look at what's going to happen. We see Hadjar, we see Behrman, we see Doohan, we see Ocon. There'll be some people that will go Bortoleto because of budget reasons, and also some people that go Bortoleto because he's on the 4.5 million floor, and they'll see that as a safe route. Me personally, I'm going to go Doohan as it stands because he's got a great chance of increasing in price. Obviously, there's that risk of the whole DNF and the whole risk that he might lose his C and the risk of Saudi Arabia up next and blah, 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 blah. There's always risk. But what's staring us in the face right here, just look at this table, staring us in the face, it's 0.6, 0.6, 0.6. And Ocon, at least 0.2, quite possibly a 0.6 as well. Like, it is there. But considering budget's so important, particularly at the early point of the season, there's just no reason to pick anyone other than these 5. Like I say, Bortoleto I think is fine. I think he can't drop in price. So I think he's fine if you want to go that route, if you want to play that way. But past Bortoleto, there's just no reason to pick anyone else. Like Stroll, he's just he only scored 2 in the last race. So come Saudi Arabia, where he's had a poor record over the last couple of seasons, he's gonna almost certainly drop value in Saudi Arabia. So if you don't get rid of Stroll this week, you kind of have to get rid of him the following week, because he's just going to drain your budget. All these guys is going to keep losing budget basically. Alonso's got a couple of DNFs that are waiting to fall off, so Alonso's just a no-go. We don't have a choice. We do have a choice. We can pick whoever we want ultimately, but if you want to play the game to the best of your capability, this is it, and this is why this budget template team is so good, because not only, if we flick it back just for a second, not only are we getting all these big points from the constructors, let's not lose sight, this game is about gaining points, and when we're talking about gaining budget, we're looking at the long-term game. In terms of points, but right now points are also still important. We can't just completely neglect them, and this team is great because I've had people ask me, oh, but shouldn't we be focusing more on budget? Shouldn't we be budget building really hard? It's like, we are budget building really hard with this team. it's really good for points, and it's really good for budget. We've just seen these 4 guys, Ocon, Doohan, Behrman, Hadjar. There, look at Piastri. He's very likely to go up. And we go down to Constructors, McLaren, Mercedes, almost guaranteed for a 0.3 rise to their maximum. And yes, it'll be nice to get a 0.6 from a V-Carb or a 0.6 from a Haas. But the truth is, this season, the difference between the B tier and the A tier is just 0.3. If the A tier go up the maximum, you get 0.3. If the B tier go up the maximum, you get 0.6. Last year, the difference in values of potential increases were a lot more different. We're talking about like 1 million plus for the B tier or C tiers as they were last season, and only the A tiers could only go up 0.2 as a maximum. This year it's much tighter. Therefore, the difference, like relative of the points plus budget for an A tier compared to the points plus budget for a B tier, it's very heavily weighted towards the A tier this season. It's more heavily weighted than even it was last season, to be honest. Last season there was definitely more of a focus on just points, and you'll kind of naturally grow that budget. This season it's the opposite really. It's about looking at on fancy tools basically, and seeing who's going to get in those budgets, and looking at these free race averages and see who's likely to, like for example Ocon, this 24 points here he got in China is going to drop off out the other end going into Saudi Arabia. So then he'll be on 1 plus whatever he gets in Bahrain. So Ocon's probably going to drop in Saudi Arabia. So it's probably going to be a transfer there. But right now he's a good option because he's going to probably go up in price. So it's just right now I feel like our transfers are kind of booked in to getting these B tier guys in that we're just going to be using our transfers to hop around these B tiers to keep growing that budget early on, so we can get to that kind of double premium. If we can, for example, at some point drop this guy and we get one of these premium drivers in, like an Antonelli or a Russell, to pair up with Piastri, then we're singing and dancing at that point. Look, how far away from it at the moment? Bortoleto, if we put the minimum in there, I'm on 12.1. So I'm still, to get to Antonelli, that's about 7 million, 7.5 million. Like, we can make that up in a few races if we keep accumulating enough budget with these lower B tier drivers, as well as just getting plenty of budget here. And bearing in mind, these McLaren and Mercedes guys are just going to keep going 0.3, like just pretty much regardless. It would take like a double DQ, aka Ferrari in China, to really put a halt to that choo-choo train of just gaining value. So my point is basically that this team is great because, not this exact team, let's just pull it back to what it actually should be. This team is great because you get loads of points, you get loads of budget. There's no real compromise as there was last year. Last year you could go hard on the budget and you get big gains. And all those people that are just focusing on points, you catch them up later on the season with your big budget, and you can overtake them. But this season the big budget potential isn't really there. This team on screen right now has got the potential for very good budget gain and also very good points gain. Like, Mercedes is just going to clearly outscore the likes of Haas and V-Carb, etc. On a consistent basis. Now let's have a quick think, because I'm getting a bit overexcited and a bit het up here, let's have a think, because I just want to cover off a couple of things, a couple of comments that I've seen in my YouTube comments, on Twitter, etc. People asking me, what about this, what about that? So I'm just going to, ultimately the answer to what about this, what about that is forget about all that nonsense, just pick this team. But just to completely cover off, a lot of people have asked me about Red Bull as a constructor. For me personally, I can't get there. If you've got an extra million and a half, whatever you can get to Red Bull, I still personally prefer Mercedes. And yes, the whole Red Bull don't turn up their engines on Friday, blah, blah, blah. I think Mercedes, just as a pairing, Kimi and George, just look strong, consistent. They look good in practice sessions. And yes, the hotter temperatures might hurt them a little bit this weekend, but I have faith in them. George is speaking positively. Kimi reasonably positive in the interviews post race and everything, post FP2, etc. Sorry. And then you got Tsunoda, who's clearly just struggling. Tsunoda's clearly just struggling to adapt to this car, and not that he's going to do necessarily particularly badly, but I just he's not going to prop up the constructor enough as what I want. And Mercedes have just started off very well, very consistent, very positive, and just the fact that they're cheaper. I just think even if I had the budget to get to Red Bull, I think I'd have to go Mercedes anyway to answer that question. Another question I've had is, again, I guess I've already answered it, because it's like, what about going with these, going with like Haas and V-Carb, for example, but I've kind of already destroyed that notion of me going down that road at all, because the budget gain potential, obviously it's there and it'll be nice to get a bit more, but ultimately you do this, you're going to get like 10-15 points from Racing Bulls, 10-15 points from Haas, and you're going to get like 100 points or something from McLaren, Mercedes, or even more probably than with the McLaren Mercedes combination. And ultimately you're just getting an extra 0.6 million. McLaren Mercedes will go up 0.6 between them. Racing Bulls and Haas or Williams, whatever, will go up 1.2. So you're gaining 0.6 million at the cost of like 70-80 points. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it for me. And obviously with this particular build, people would be like looking at something like Norris, and then you could also even potentially upgrade like a Doohan to like an Antonelli or something, and suddenly it's like, oh, okay, it's actually looking quite good. But honestly, if you're spending this much money, if you're spending 29.9 million on Norris, just spend the extra million and get McLaren and Constructor in, because they're gonna score big. Look how big they're scoring: 71, 101, 71. Put out to Norris, 59, 41, 29. Like, they're the same price, but give or take a million. And Norris is like way underscoring, whereas McLaren are just clearly, the point scoring system is heavily biased towards constructors. So yeah, you get a tiny bit of extra budget, but it's, in my opinion, it's not worth it. And I think it's fine if you want to go down this route and you've done some maths, or even just kind of guesstimating that the extra 0.6 million will be worth it in the long run. But personally, I just don't see it. I just don't see 70-80 points being sniffed at right now by ignoring the likes of McLaren, Mercedes, for example. At least having one constructor, get rid of Norris and at least have McLaren in here alongside of Piastri, and then use your 8.5 million to put in Doohan or whoever. So I think this team, if you want to go down this route, like if you don't have the budget, for example, if you literally don't have the budget to go Piastri, McLaren, Mercedes, you could step down Piastri to a Russell and go Russell, McLaren, Mercedes. If you still don't have the budget for that, again, you could go down to Kimi Antonelli as a 2 times, which I'm not overly excited about, but it's got potential there. The other option, which is probably better because you get a stronger 2 times than an Antonelli, is go something like this. If you genuinely can't afford the template team, then I think this sort of team is fine for like another week to get your budget boosted up that little bit more, so you can get to the more template team. Because it's all going to change again. Like I say, looking at these budget changes, it's all going to change around when all these big scores kind of drop off from China. It's all going to change again. So who had big score in last week? So Tsunoda, but Tsunoda's really expensive, so he's not going to be that popular. Albon did all right. Like, no one's doing well here, to be fair. Like, no one's actually -2, 2, 1. In the next race or two, we could see an event where only like 1, maybe 2 drivers actually are looking to increase in price, and just everyone else is looking to just flop. So, yeah, to summarize my feeling right now is like, let's just take this opportunity, this little gift that we've got, where it's an easy decision, and all we got to do is put in Mercedes into here, get rid of your B tier, whatever. Bring in. I hate how this keeps swapping around, Bitman. So yeah, this is it for me. This is, don't overcomplicate it, don't overthink it. This is good for points. This is good for budget. Especially for taking -10s, or even arguably -20s, probably worth it. If you're getting to this team, like, let's just take it, because, in a week or two's time, we might need to readjust. And I don't want to be, in a week or two's time, we might be having to really strongly adjust our B tier drivers. So if you've got if you want to just get on board of this Mercedes build now, so to save your transfer down the line, because otherwise you're just going to be leaking points for multiple more races. So you might as well just get on board right now, to be honest. If you can afford it already, get on board the Mercedes McLaren Piastri team, because coming out of Saudi Arabia or Miami or whatever, these B tiers are going to potentially be very costly and everyone's going to be losing value. Bortoleto in that case might go up in some stock because he's so, he's rock bottom at the moment and probably not going up in price. So I think Bortoleto is going to be popular in the next race or two if he's not already. So yeah, to summarize, like I say, I did put a tweet out earlier saying I could make this video 12 seconds long, and I probably should have done, to be honest, because all I've said the entire duration of this video is basically, if you can afford the template, pick the template. Like, this is where I'm going. I'm not making the transfers right now because I want to see FP3 just to be sure, make sure there's no crashes or anything, any funny business. But, come at me with your alternative lineups. Like, come on, bring it on. I'm just going to back you away. Pom, pom, pom. This is where I'm going. And if you can get there for a -10, I would do it. For a -20, it would be painful. I don't like taking, I'm not just throwing out, I don't like throwing out hits for fun sort of thing. And it would be quite painful to take a -20, particularly when a large majority of engaged managers are going down this route. And so therefore, you're at a disadvantage to those. For example, like me, I have 3 free transfers I can get here without any hits. So if you're taking a -20, you're already guaranteed to be 20 points less off than a manager in my position. But it's not just about this race, it's about the next few races, and I think this is the template for the next few races, particularly up until, Spain with the new technical directive. Maybe things will change, but up until Spain, I strongly believe that McLaren, Mercedes, Piastri are probably just what we're going to be doing, and then we're going to be juggling the B tiers. That's kind of where my brain is at the moment. So, yeah. Like I said, let's try and do the 12-second summary, okay? If you can afford this team, pick this team. If you can't afford this team, you can ride the B tier constructor for another race and then jump on this team. But if you can get here, do it for -10. If you can get here, probably do it for -20. Come join us. It's template time.